Hey guys, welcome back to my office and welcome to the 5-day prayer challenge. So yesterday, if you were at Severn, we were in week 2 of our series called Extraordinary, where we're looking at these 6 disciplines God has given us to help us grow. And we talked specifically about prayer. And so the text that we walked through was Luke chapter 11, verses 2 through 4, where Jesus taught his disciples how to pray. So we kind of walked through that line by line, and we pulled 5 principles that should guide the way that we talk to God out of that text. And so starting today for the next 5 days, I just want to make those principles available to you and invite whoever's on the other side of this to join me in kind of focusing on those principles as we spend time talking with God. You can do this by yourself, or you can do this with a close friend, totally up to you. But the first principle, if you missed yesterday, is enhancing our view of God. And we see this right at the beginning of the prayer. Jesus said the very first thing he taught us to pray is, "Father, your name be honored as holy." What Jesus is teaching us here, he's teaching us to begin prayer by focusing on and reminding ourselves of who God actually is. And there's 2 ways that Jesus reveals God to us, 2 ways that Jesus is calling us to think about God and view God. And the first is this word Father. And so Jesus is teaching us to remind ourselves when we come to God in prayer that because of Jesus, we're not hired into God's company. We're not enlisted into God's military. We've been adopted into God's family. And like a loving father, he rejoices over us. But Jesus doesn't leave it there. The very next thing he calls us to remind ourselves of, he says, your name, God's name, be honored as holy. And so in reminding us that in Jesus we have God as a father, Jesus also reminds us that God is a holy God. And so when we're approaching God in prayer, we're not approaching a peer or an equal. We're approaching a God that is infinitely above and beyond us. And so here's what I invite you to do today. Here's what I'm going to be doing today. Just spend some time really thinking about how you view God. In my experience, we all have wrong ideas about who God is. And maybe you don't really view God as a loving father who really has forgiven you, who really has removed your sins. Or maybe you don't view God as a holy God. Maybe you don't really see him as powerful enough to help you, or whatever. I think everybody has a wrong idea about who God is. And I just want to encourage you today to take those wrong ideas about God and talk to him about them, because he already knows what they are. And in bringing them before him, just ask him to reshape your view of who he is, to help you see him as he really is. So this is our first principle of prayer, enhancing our view of God. I'll see you right back here tomorrow for our second.